Hello, guys. I wanted to talk with you today about some of the reactions from mainstream media involving the shooting of the healthcare CEO Brian Thompson of United Healthcare, and some of the general public response, which has not been, which has been kind of an eye-opener, apparently, clearly an eye-opener for some of the mainstream media, who has been choosing to tone police and shame the regular general public about their cynicism and not really feeling so bad, not really showing much sympathy or being upset for the death of this healthcare CEO. One of the worst healthcare companies. One of the worst ones when it comes to the amount of claims that they deny. So the public doesn't really care. They don't really feel that bad. In fact, many people are like, hopefully, let's hope this keeps happening. These people should be afraid. These healthcare company CEOs should be afraid. They should be nervous because the public is on to them. And that's the thing you want, depending on the kind of vigilante justice that's done, you want these people to be prosecuted as criminals for what they're doing, but our government is completely corrupt and corrupted by the healthcare companies almost more than anybody. The healthcare companies, the pharmaceutical companies, medical supply companies have more power in our government than just about any other type of company that or industry that does lobbying and kind of controls our entire government. The pharmaceutical and healthcare companies have more power than just about anybody in our government because of the corruption of our government. So yeah, there's been a lot of backlash. I want to talk more about some of the right-wing backlash because, the right wing in recent months, in the time that that Trump has been out of power and Biden has been the president, they've been kind of claiming to be anti-establishment. You get a lot of that vibe of being anti-establishment from people. Some of the people I'm more interested in, I guess, would be guys like Ben Shapiro and Matt Walsh, who I've always seen as frauds just because they're not, or at least frauds in the sense that they pretend to care about they pretend like they're populist in a sense, like that they're interested in the views and the concerns of regular conservatives and Republicans, but I don't think that they are. I never really did. And they're certainly not on the side of the American worker or the poor, or the middle class, the working class. I've always thought of like Matt Walsh and Ben Shapiro as kind of frauds in the new media space of social media and YouTube and that kind of thing. So, and they are both kind of, they both kind of tried to give it a political spin. Matt Walsh and Ben Shapiro, they kind of had this attitude like, oh, well, this guy must be a left-winger, and these left-wingers are dangerous radicals who are against anybody making a profit, and this Luigi Mangione guy is a spoiled rich kid, and you shouldn't think that what he did was good, or you shouldn't think anything positive about him, which, yes, he's a murderer, but murders can be thought of differently. Murder isn't just a monolithic idea. Like, it's a crime, but it's like, well, there's a difference between a mass shooting and killing one piece of shit healthcare CEO. There's differences in that. And even if there's not, there's still, the public still has a right to their kind of visceral understanding of justice. Justice isn't just what's done in court. We are animals at heart. We're not we're living in a world of laws, but the human nature will have you kind of have these kind of opinions that don't line up perfectly with the legal system and the way that the elites and the power and the leaders of our country would like us to see things. There is such a thing as kind of mob justice, or and you can lose the public, and you can lose public opinion, or you can have the public kind of liking a murderer even. O.J. Simpson was pretty popular amongst a lot of people, even though who there was mountains of evidence that he did it, and there were still a lot of people who liked O.J. and thought he should be innocent, and it kind of ignored the evidence, and a lot of it had to do with his legendary athleticism, his celebrity status, or identity politics. This thing has happened before. The same thing kind of happened. I guess Ted Bundy is another example, but it's not unheard of for the public to kind of have a crush on a murderer, and they're trying to say like, oh well, this guy was he was dangerous to everybody, and no, he wasn't dangerous to everybody. He targeted a specific person, and a lot of people are not that upset about it because they think like these people are responsible for killing tens of thousands of Americans through their for their profit motive. Maybe some of them do deserve to die. I'm not saying that's the way that it should be, but when you're in a situation like in our country where these healthcare CEOs and this healthcare industry kind of run the country, and all they care about is making money, and tens of thousands of Americans die because of their decisions, I'm not that surprised, and I agree with these people who think like, some of these. I don't think that they should all be killed, but I do think like, I understand why the public agrees with. I understand why the public kind of likes that this happened, and that because our system just denies us any real chance of having a change in our healthcare system. So these kind of things are going to happen, and if they happened more, maybe some of these healthcare CEOs would have a change of heart. Not likely, but it's drawing attention to the healthcare crisis in our country. This whole story of the healthcare CEO being shot draws interest in the problems of our healthcare industry to one extent or another. It brings the conversation back to healthcare, and I think that's a good thing. So yeah, let's see. Joe Concha is a columnist and he spoke on Fox News. He didn't like some of the things that Elizabeth Warren or Bernie Sanders had to say about this killing, and even though they were not really defending the killing, but they were trying to explain why this is happening and trying to say, okay, well, there's a reason why this guy was targeted. It's not a random violent crime. It's he was targeted for a reason, and so then Trump has even said, like, here's a quote from Trump: "You just can't believe some people. I think it's really terrible that some people seem to admire or like him." And it's like, okay, that's a pretty generic statement from Trump. I wish that Trump could try to understand why Americans feel desperate enough that someone would do this, and that a lot of Americans are so desperate and bankrupted by their health care and can't get health care that they would kind of admire someone for taking action like that. Or at least be cynical about it and not care about the person who died because of who they are. So Trump clearly doesn't get it either, or he's paid not to get it and will be paid not to get it. It's like, that's another reason why I think, healthcare is not going to get better anytime soon. People's healthcare is not going to get better under Trump. That's clear. He doesn't even understand the problem, and he clearly doesn't understand or empathize with the millions of Americans who are not upset about the guy getting killed. So, you know, I'm just trying to say that, so the public has kind of, so this Luigi guy has kind of won in the court of public opinion. A lot of people with a lot of power don't like it. It's kind of, it's bipartisan really, but the right wing tries to make it about a socialist. They try to make it that he's, I'm sure you see this on both sides. You know, the right wing doesn't want him to be a right winger. They want him to be some kind of left winger. And these people like Matt Walsh and Ben Shapiro, their whole business is based on dividing people based on social issues, and otherwise they're pretty, you know, they're all on the same page when it comes to economics, and when it comes to kind of supporting the corruption of these healthcare companies. You know, they're company men either way. These, you know, they're not on our side. These guys like Matt Walsh and Ben Shapiro, and Trump really isn't either. You know, Trump clearly doesn't get it. Trump doesn't have a plan for healthcare. These Republicans haven't. They don't have a plan for healthcare either. The Democrats don't, but neither do the Republicans. And I can't imagine healthcare getting any better under them. So I just wanted to share that with you guys, and we'll see if there's anything more to talk about this. Well, I will say one development was that this Luigi Mangione guy is being charged with terrorism, an act of terrorism, which I also think is crazy because it's not terrorism, it's a murder. They're saying because I think it was Alvin Bragg, one of the guys who prosecuted Trump, is charging in New York. The state of New York is charging this Luigi guy with an act of terrorism, which makes no sense because it was targeted. It was one specific person, and it was probably politically motivated. But they're saying because he intended for this to stir public reaction and to first of all, there hasn't even been another killing or anything like that. There haven't been other violent acts inspired by this. So they're charging this Luigi guy with terrorism. It makes no sense because he's not a terrorist. He's a murderer. And it's just, that's a whole other can of worms, is how since 9/11, terrorism is thrown around and people are charged with that. And there's just a difference. You know, this is not murder. This is not terrorism. It's murder. And so they're tacking on that charge too, because they're claiming that he planned on inciting a public reaction. And why is that wrong? And why is that terrorism? Is what I'd like to understand. Like, and so what? Like, it's one guy who killed another guy. It was targeted. It was planned. It's premeditated murder. It's not terrorism. But anyway, just wanted to share that with you guys. Thank you.